for a life insurance company that specializes in what you actually need? Protection. Call Danny today with Symmetry Financial. Danny is certified in all 50 states, which means Symmetry Financial is not limited and has over 30 companies to choose from. Symmetry Financial has proved time and time again that their options and pricing is just better than the rest. Give Danny a call today at 828-994-1681 to see how Symmetry Financial can make life simple.
Unforgettables. Nice. This show is sponsored by Unforgettables. Unforgettables creates detailed hand-painted baseballs for every baseball fan. Check them out at unforgettables.com.
This is CRN, the Community Radio Network, the voice of the community, the voice of anything sports, and proud to be the voice of the Comets. Follow us at crnsports.org. Now let's get back to the broadcast coverage on CRN. What a beautiful evening, 9 o'clock here on Tuesday evening. Trace Knott here for the roundtable discussion. It is back right here on the CRN Sports Podcast Network. I am joined by Bruce Barrett, Daniel Moore, and then Brandon White. Get my name. Look, my days, my time, and my names are all getting together. So, Bruce Barrett, Daniel Moore, and Brandon White. Good evening, Brandon. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, Trey. Multitasking right now, doing this podcast and watching the truck race as we speak.
Look, somebody has to do it. It might as well be you, right?
That's right.
Bruce Barrett, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, and I'm kind of following his lead. I'm looking at stats here on some different athletics. Baseball, a little bit of the Raleigh Firebirds stuff, and also watching the race here with the missus. So we're having a good time, and it's really pretty cool to watch a race on a Tuesday night.
That's right, and we're definitely going to get into that as well. We got a great show lined up. Daniel Moore, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Most definitely not watching a race, but like Bruce said, just trying to do my homework behind the scenes.
I love it. Again, this is the roundtable discussion right here on CRN Sports, part of the podcast platform. Follows everything that we do on crnsports.org and also on across the board on social media and all platforms or podcast platforms out there. I promise you, if we're not there, let us know. We would love to be a part of, again, crnsports.org. Trace Knott, Bruce Barrett, Daniel Moore, and Brandon White on the call this evening or on the podcast. We're going to kind of kick off with some NASCAR kind of news, should you say. It is back. It was the first sport to officially be back here in the sports world, should you say. And again, just like what Bruce Barrett just mentioned, it is Tuesday night and there is NASCAR racing. Brandon, I'm going to start with you, my friend. You and Wesley Outland are our NASCAR gurus. How's it feel to you not only to be the first sport back? Some people don't believe it is a sport, but of course you do. How is it as a sports fan and a NASCAR fan? How do you feel about it being the first one back at a baseball, basketball, whatever it is? How do you feel?
Well, if you want to get super technical, auto racing would be the sport. NASCAR would be the organization, kind of like how NBA, NFL, NHL are. So that's just for everyone out there who wants to get really technical. But as far as the first major organization to come back, yeah, I'm really happy that I'm able to watch NASCAR racing right now. I really missed it during those 2 months where we didn't have any sports. The iRacing was a nice substitute, but it wasn't the real thing. And from all indications, NASCAR is really handling this the new normal associated with the pandemic very well. Everybody at the track is wearing masks now. No fans in the stands until at least July. An intense screening process. No one has tested positive for the virus yet. So it's all going good for them right now. And based off what I'm seeing in ratings of Twitter, it's getting some much-needed attention, too. So that's another plus.
Well, absolutely. And we're going to stick right there. Regarding the auto racing that you say, it's pretty cool to say that it's a Tuesday night. And for somebody like me, and if you listen to any of one of our live programs, the part of the basketball league, part of Clayton High School, part of anything that we do, AAU basketball, you know that I am normally not a NASCAR fan or a auto racing fan, but I've enjoyed myself. I've actually, me and you've had text back. I can prove it if you want to get technical. I can prove it that we've had conversations about who the driver is going to be that night. So, I've actually enjoyed myself, and is it more of I'm enjoying it because it's the only thing on, or am I enjoying it because it's actually a fun situation that we have going on in NASCAR? And I'm gonna have to lean to the left hand side. The second part of that, I've actually enjoyed it. I've enjoyed talking about Brad Keselowski and Jimmy Johnson, and of course I've enjoyed Jeff Gordon being the call for these races. So kind of get for those that are new to the world of auto racing, kind of give me your perspective on what is really going on right now.
Well, as far as auto racing, we'll particularly talk about NASCAR in particular because they're one of the few major sports organizations that is back right now. IndyCar isn't supposed to start back until next month at Texas. I don't know when Formula One's supposed to start back because they have much bigger problems on their hands than NASCAR because they have to travel all around the world. Yeah. And each country is handling the coronavirus different. So, but as it stands right now, NASCAR was the first major auto racing organization to start back. The World of Outlaws back now too. That's dirt track racing, and they usually race on weeknights as well, even though they're not broadcast to a larger market. But NASCAR is back. Just get everyone up to speed. Kevin Harvick, he won the very first race back a couple Sundays ago in Darlington. And then Denny Hamlin won a rain-shortened, very entertaining, albeit rain-shortened race at Darlington on Wednesday. And then they had the Coca-Cola 600 on Sunday, and that was won by Brad Keselowski. Now we have another race coming up, a major cup race, so to speak, on Wednesday night. So that's 4 cup races in 10 days, and you got the lower divisions of NASCAR, the Xfinity Series, and Truck Series sprinkled in between that, with the truck race currently going on right now.
Well, that'll work for me. And Bruce Barrett, tell me how you really feel about this kind of accident, the one that was leading the race, the entire race. And, of course, then he goes out and does what NASCAR racers do. They wreck each other on purpose. Tell me how you really feel about all this. And tell me, for those that don't know what I'm talking about, please explain.
Well, if you're talking about the Kyle Busch incident, when you first look at it, you're kind of scratching your head saying, what in the world are you doing? But he came back after he spun the second place car out. And, of course, he hit the inside wall pretty hard. But he came back. He just said, I made a mistake. And he owned up to it, that it was his fault. And, at that point, it's just a racing incident. At first, I was kind of looking at it and saying, wait a minute, what in the world? But when it comes down to the last few laps and you get everybody in a tight bunch as sometimes NASCAR gets, sometimes things like that are going to happen. And I just, I'm going back and looking at it and listening to what he said. I would just call it a racing accident. The thing that I kind of scratch my head over is what in the world was Chase Elliott and his team thinking when they had a caution with about a handful of laps left, 5 laps or so. He comes into the pits, and it wasn't the fact that Chase Elliott was on the point. He was way out there on the point. I mean, he had a big lead on the second place car. And for him to come in and pit and then be put back, in the field, 5th, 6th, 7th place or so, you don't really give yourself a chance to win when you do that, in my opinion. I don't know if he was it didn't seem like he was having any trouble with his car. I mean, he was continually pulling away from the second place car for sure. You just kind of have to scratch your head a little bit on that strategy.
So,
well, the thing about that race is that clean air was very important. If you got the lead, you weren't going to give it up because the clean air would be such a benefit to you that no one could really get past you. Now, Chase Elliott was able to, he was actually able to make a pass on Brad Keselowski while Keselowski had the clean air, and that was a good indicator of how strong this car actually was.
That's right.
So I'm not really sure what Alan Gustafson was thinking on that last call. Tires, as you saw on that final restart, tires tested helped Chase Elliott. He ended up finishing second after Jimmy Johnson failed inspection, but it wasn't a race-winning move. So I just don't understand why Gustafson thought that would be the right move when all Chase Elliott had to do was get a great restart, and he would have won the race. So, but it is what it is. And Brad Keselowski took advantage of Chase Elliott's mistake, and he ended up winning the race. So now Elliott's going to have to try again on Wednesday night.
There you go. And Daniel Moore, my one and only question about this racing nonsense that we're talking about. Have you watched anything? Have you watched any race this year?
No.
Okay.
No, I have not. I guess you'd say I've been watching some. I kind of feel like Mike Guerin saying this right now, but I've been watching kind of some replays of a little more recent, but some replays of Hurricanes games or ACC basketball games or whatever's on television, I guess. But no races for me.
Hey, it's okay. But I told you before we went on air live right here on CRNSports.org and the CRN Sports podcast platform, I mentioned, I promise you I would say this on the air, and I'm going to say it because I'm a man of my word. Most people believe that. I have enjoyed the racing. I have enjoyed watching. I actually stay up late to see who wins the race, which is pretty cool. Like tonight, tonight they have the Truck Series, which our co-founder and colleague Wesley Allen is actually in Charlotte this evening. And hopefully the race will be over before we get off the air because he's going to call in and give us a live report from Charlotte. So hopefully we'll see how that goes. I've enjoyed it. I've actually watched races, and I have proof by way of text messages from myself and Brandon White that we're talking about who's going to win the race, who's my favorite driver. And so I have proof, I promise you. So I've enjoyed myself. And moving forward, we're going to see how that goes once everything starts to kind of come back. Just as example, and going into our leadway into our next topic, NHL. It is coming back. And what they've announced is they're going to surpass the regular season, and they're just going to go directly into the playoffs kind of format. So, Daniel, I'm going to start with you, my friend, on this aspect. The one that's closest to home for us here in the North Carolina area is the Carolina Hurricanes. They had a great run last year, a team that was kind of out of it at the beginning, and they kind of came on strong, and they beat Washington in the first round of the playoffs last year. This year, they were kind of on a really hard schedule to finish off the season, and they were kind of stumbling a little bit. What are you seeing right now? And one, are you excited that it's back? But two, what are you seeing out of the Carolina Hurricanes that are you expecting them to make a good run? Because they've had of course, everybody's had the last couple months off. But are you expecting some kind of run out of this team? Or what are you expecting out of the Carolina Hurricanes moving forward into the playoffs? And the other question is, are they going to make it to the playoffs?
Well, so first question, I am 110% elated that we're going to see not just hockey, but Canes hockey, and not just Canes hockey, but Canes playoff hockey. So I'm definitely ecstatic about that. Yeah, so it's a weird 2014 format that they're going to be going into. It's odd, I guess, but I guess it would